Finally, our podcast is up and running, and we want to welcome you to Spot On, our creative podcast where we give you brutal but sincere truths to grow your creativity, your businesses, and also your life and personalities. As always, our aim is to make you an all-rounded creative, a 360 creative. So all you need to do is sit back, get ready, and be spot on. I am your host, Jonathan James. So let me start with this bold statement that perfection is disability. Yeah, that's a bold statement, but you might have had this statement from many other leaders and people that you have listened to. But today we are going to discuss and see why perfectionism is a disability, how you should handle perfectionism, and what you should have instead of being a perfectionist. So welcome. So to start with, perfection, I know, is something that is in our minds, and we think we have to be perfect to be successful in life, and that's a big lie. And the greatest lie that we have had in our minds is that we have to be 100% in our creativity, in our business acumen. We have to be 100% to our employers or our employees, and that is wrong. What you do when you give yourself that standard is that you are in self-bondage, meaning that you are in slavery for the rest of your life, because you cannot be 100%. So to start with, there are two kinds of perfectionism. There is a positive one and a negative one. Of course, we are talking about the negative one in this podcast, but it's good for me to mention the positive kind of perfectionism, which you realize is not being a perfectionist, is being something else, which you're going to discuss later. And so the positive kind of perfectionism is where you find a problem or you find a situation that should not be the way it is, and then you are compelled and you have the urge and the desire to correct it, to make it as it should be. I will repeat it. The first kind of perfectionism, which is a positive one, is where you find there is a problem or a situation that should not be the way it is, and then you are compelled and you have the urge and the desire to change it to become the way it should be. For example, you enter into a room and you find the room is dirty, and you are compelled to clean it because you want it clean. Or you find a chair that is broken and you want to fix it. That is the positive kind of perfectionist. Let's come close to who we are, like creatives, whether it's a photographer, videographer, pencil artist, or graphic designer, all those people. You go into a business and you find that there's something that should not be the way it is, and through your skills and through your expertise, you want to solve that problem so that it can be in the ideal situation it should be. And you need to realize that that is not with all the people. There are people who will enter a room, find it dirty, and they are okay with it. There are other people who will find a chair broken and they are okay with it. There are other people who will enter into a business, and until they are asked to solve a problem, they will not compel themselves to do it, and so they will just stay until another person sees the problem. But having that level of perfectionism is where you find a problem and you want to solve the problem as you are able to, according to your skills, and so on and so forth. And so that's the positive kind of perfectionism. However, you realize that is not perfectionism in its own. That is called excellence, is that you want everything to be as it's supposed to be. Perfectionism is dangerous. However, do not confuse perfectionism with excellence, and we will come to that in just a moment. So the negative one is where you have the mindset that there is the best way to do something, or there's the best person in your industry, and if you can't do it how they do it, or you cannot get the results that they get, then you are a failure. First of all, you have seen how much standard you have put on yourself, meaning that there is this person you look up to, he's doing this thing in this particular way, and if you cannot be like that person, then you are not successful. If you cannot give the results that person is giving, then you're not successful. It becomes a whole entanglement where you become a failure, not because you're a failure, but because you have put yourself so high standards that you cannot even reach. For example, if you want to start a YouTube channel, like for example, I have a YouTube channel that I really struggle to start because of being a perfectionist. in the negative way. And so you want to start a YouTube channel and you admire, for example, Peter McKinnon. Something about Peter McKinnon, for those who don't know Peter McKinnon, he is a YouTuber, but he is a filmmaker and photographer, and he uses the state-of-the-art equipment. He uses the best cameras, the best lights, the best setup. And so those are the kinds of people we look up to. Or for example, Chris Du, who is a brand designer, and he uses the best equipment. So they use certain setups, and if you cannot get what they have, if you cannot get their kind of videos, then you can't be successful. And so you won't even do it after all. You won't even start the YouTube channel. Why? Because you feel you won't achieve their results because you don't have the equipment they have. And so you will say, if I cannot have whatever they have, I won't even start it. That is the beginning of failure. And I will tell you the truth. The disease that is in perfection, that is with perfectionists, is the disease of fear of failure. The greatest thing with perfectionists is that they fear to fail. And we are consumed with the notion that failure is bad. And we have created our own standards. And those are the standards that limit us. So I realized that those who focus on failure, they are the ones that really get hurt by it. Because failure will always come to everybody without exception. Whether it is Jeff Bezos, who is the biggest and the richest, wealthiest person we have, whether it is the poorest person even in our community, failure will come to everybody without fail. Why? Because it is something, life has made it that way. Things will not always work out. That is life. The difference is, how do we handle the failure? Jeff Bezos handles failure differently. That's why he's successful. We handle failure differently. That's why we are where we are. Some people do not handle it very well. That's why they are where they are. If failure comes to you and you let it hit you and you remain there, you don't get back up again, then it will continue. You will continue in that state as long as you live. And so it's good to understand that failure is good. And I'll give an example with Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos said that failure and innovation are inseparable, but they always win. Failure and innovation are inseparable, but they always win. If you don't fail, you don't learn. And if you don't learn, you don't grow. And if you don't grow, you stagnate, meaning you're not going to be successful. So perfectionism is the attitude of I can't fail. I can't start small. I can't start with 1, 2, 3. Why? Because those people are big. What you forget is that the people who are big now, they started small. The people who are big now, they failed 10, 20, 30 times. That's what you're forgetting. And so that is what we are handling today. And as a photographer myself, I was always fixated and infatuated by the fact that I can't have the best pictures without, for example, a full frame camera, without a particular kind of strobe light, because every time I went to work with big photographers like Tandiwe Muriu, and I saw the kinds of equipment they are using and the kinds of things that they are doing, I thought that the reason why they are where they are is because they are using these kinds of equipment. And that really limited me, that sometimes even I would get a client and I would not even book them because I thought I would not achieve whatever I wanted because I don't have 1, 2, 3. And I waited for the day that I will have all these things. And until now, I have never had even 3/4 of it. At least I have had half, but even I have not had everything that Tandiwe Muriu had. But the day that I swallowed my pride and I swallowed my perfectionism and said, they started somewhere with a smaller camera, and that's they grew to where they are. And I decided that I'm not going to be fixated on being like Tandiwe or having everything perfect to how I think about. And I started working with what I have to achieve what I can with what I have. So sometimes I would not even book those clients. I thought that even I would not meet the standards that I have put for myself. And apparently the worst thing was that it's standards that I had put on myself, not standards that the client had put on me. And so the problem was that I really lost a lot of business. I really did I grew so slowly in my business. And it became so frustrating. So, and at the end of the day, I realized that even the things we think or the things we are disturbed with, that the client will not like this or this, or the people will not like this and this, those are the things that really make them happy. I have had creatives say that the things that they thought were not the best are the things that resonated with the clients and their audiences, especially when you listen to comedians and movie stars. The movies they thought were not the best are the movies that people really resonated with. And so it's not about your standards, it's about the client standards, the people's standards. So when we remove the perfection minds, we are going to realize, it's not about it. Right now I release YouTube videos, whether I feel it's not good, I just release it and I find people love it. Why? Because it's not about me, it's about the people who are listening to me. So when I was starting my YouTube channel, I thought that people would not even like it because it's not like someone else. I am in Africa, I'm a Kenyan, I'm an African. Of course, my YouTube tutorials that teach about photography cannot be as good as the people in the States or the people in Europe. And so I really had fear to proceed and succeeding as a YouTuber. I'm not there yet, but I realized that what is holding me back is the thought that I will not have results as Peter McKinnon, whom I looked up to. The problem is that the things we think people don't like, they are the things that people like most. And I know it's weird, and I have said this before, and it's true though. And I hope by now you can see how being a perfectionist is limiting. Now, we should differentiate the difference between being excellent and being perfectionist. I'm not trying to make a loophole that you should just do things just to do them. Absolutely no. Because excellence is different from being a perfectionist. We are all called to be excellent. We should be excellent at what we do. And to me, excellence is not being 100%. Absolutely no. Excellent is giving your best without withholding nothing. That's the best of excellence. You may get different results, but I may give half of what I can. But you who got different results that are maybe not even better, you gave 100%. For example, you gave your best without withholding nothing. You are more excellent than I am. Excellent is not about having a certain standards. You are the standard to your excellence, meaning there is this way that you know that you can do and you can give the best. If you are a driver, you drive the best and give your best. And so our results will be different, but the spirit behind it, then the mentality behind it is the excellent mentality. And so excellence is giving your best without withholding nothing, whichever level you are with. So we ought to be excellent, but being perfectionist limits our action because we think we can do it 100%. Our aim is not to be 100% because we are not God. For those people who are religious people, we are human, and we humans are not perfect. So how do you expect you to do things that are perfect, that are 100%? If you're a religious fellow, then and you are listening, you can relate with God saying that that in our weakness his grace is abound even more, and it is in our weakness that we get the grace to be even better and to grow. So you take some work, you give it your best. If you have a weakness, the next job you'll pull up your socks to cover your weakness, and that's how you grow. Why? Because even God himself says that in your weakness, then my grace is abound even more. Meaning that God knows we are human beings, we are weak, we make mistakes, and so he understands that we are not perfect, but we are in a journey to perfection. But the day you are fixated that you are perfect, then you are becoming irrational. Why? Because you are not perfect yourself. How would your skill and your creativity and whatever you do be perfect? And that's where we are. So why do I stress this? I stress this because most of us are prisoners of our own perfect standards and thoughts, and we can't do anything because of them. All I'm asking you is we need to free ourselves by telling ourselves this, that even the best started with the worst. They grew to be where they are. We grow to perfection, not born perfect. And I will repeat that statement again. Every time you need to tell yourself this statement, that even the best started with the worst. They grew to be where they are. We grow to be perfect. We were not born perfect. That's something we all need to understand. That we grow to perfection. We are not perfect. We grow to be perfect because we were not born perfect. That's an amazing statement. So the way to beat perfectionism is to wake up and just go do it. I think I will take the Nike logo. Just do it. Just go and do it. Not tomorrow, now. Do not procrastinate. If you are a photographer, that project that you wanted to start, go start it now. If you're a filmmaker, don't wait until you get the Arri Alexa or the Red camera or get the best script. Script whatever is in your mind right now. Get a person to produce it. Take your camera, go produce it with whatever you have now. Why? Because whatever you do now is what is the stepping stone to your next big thing. You have to swallow the pride of wanting to start big or wanting to start when you think you're 100%, because you'll never be 100%. So take that thing now, go, don't procrastinate, go and start doing it right now. That's the thing I will tell you. It's the mentality. And you see, a mentality this imagination has to be pulled down. You have to put down mentalities that are not right, and put in your mind mentalities that are right. And the mentality of you being a perfectionist is something that will ruin you for the rest of your life. So the way to handle them is wake up. If you have this project you want to do, if you have this thing you want to do, if you have this girl you want to go and talk to, you cannot wait for the time that you have the money and the car and the house to go talk to the girl that you want. You have to wake up, go with whatever you have, with whatever courage you have, go and just get it done. Why? That is the way to break from the perfectionism mentality. And so there are so many ways to get to a destination, and we are fixated with this one way that we think in our heads. But I'm telling you, there are so many ways to get to a destination, and that is how life is. Depending on how and where you are in life, we take different approaches to life and success, and at the end of the day, we all become successful. You don't have to be like Barack Obama to be successful. You don't have to be like Carl Graf Jones to be successful. You don't have to be like Jay-Z to be successful. They took different paths and all of them are successful. One of them is the former president of the US. Another one is a famous rapper. Another one is a famous rapper. Another one is a big business mogul. All of them have taken different routes to success. And that's what I'm telling you. Do not get fixated on the methodology. Get fixated about the results. Then look for your own path and then follow it. And at the end of the day, you will be in the same seat with the person and you will be successful. So I will give you a story that was given by a guy that I really love called Chris Du. Chris Du is a brand designer based in US, Santa Monica, US. And he was explaining about being right or getting the job done. And the question I would ask, even before I give you the story, would you rather be right or get the job done? Would you rather be right or get the job done? And that's what he was trying to explain. And he gave us the story that one time he and his family went to visit their parents. And so they flew from Santa Monica and they went all the way to their home state. And when they got there, their dad came to pick them at the airport. And as they were driving home on the freeway, which we would call highway in our context, a certain fellow driver on the road came and he wanted to enter their lane. And he came and wanted to enter the lane that Chris Du were driving on. And so the dad would not let the guy come through. You can get the context from our country's driving, where watu wanang'ang'ana na mtu hataka kuingia. And so the dad did not want the person to enter, and there was some kind of competition so that the guy's trying to come in and the dad could not. And Chris Du asked dad, why would you not let him just pass? And the dad answered, because he's on the wrong. I will not allow him to do it because he is on the wrong. And this continued for some time, and it started becoming some dangerous. And Chris told his dad, you are carrying my whole family here. My children and my wife and myself and yourself are in this vehicle. Just let the guy pass. Let him just go where he is going. Do not compete with him. Why? Because you cause an accident and then all of us will be in trouble. And the dad will not listen. And so Chris asked the dad, which is most important, to prove to this person that he's wrong, or to make us get home safe? Which is your main goal? Is your main goal competing with this guy to prove that he's wrong, or your main goal is to make sure that we get home on time and well and safe and sound? And the dad said, my aim is to make sure that you get home safe and sound. And so Chris told the dad, this is what I want you to do. I want you to pull over and I will drive from now. Why? Because I want to get us home safe. My aim is not to prove to the guy that he has done the wrong thing and that I'm on the right. Our aim is to get home safe. And so the dad pulled over and Chris sat on the driver's seat and they drove home. And so he was giving this example, trying to tell us how many times we are fixated on being right as a person, and then we forget that it's not about being right, it's about getting the results. And even when we come to our creative, for example, our creative businesses are so much on the method, the way. Like, for example, when we do retouching in photography, most of the photographers are so fixated on the process of retouching, and you want to do to remove the spot, then you want to do frequency separation, and then you want to come and do so many other things at the end of the day. And you realize that we are so fixated on the process, and sometimes we do the process on the wrong thing. For example, you take a white lady, a white model, or a white model, and you do the same process for a white on a dark toned lady or model, on African model, and it does not work. And so much so we are so fixated on the being right other than being fixated on the results. And the danger here is that when we focus on being right, most of the times we don't get the results. Why? Because the process that a person A did and put it to you the right way is in a different context from what you were doing. I will give you a very good example. I, as a photographer, there are so many things that I could do to get the same results. Tandiwe Muriu has different kinds of contexts. For example, different kinds of lightings. If I followed Tandiwe Muriu's workflow and thought this is the right workflow, when I come to my work and I have different equipments, different scenarios, and different situations and context, of course I will not get the same results. And that's what we're talking about. Would you rather be right or get the job done? And I chose to always get the job done. Why? Even the clients whom I give the job, whom I give the results, they're not concerned about how I did it. They're concerned about, this is what I wanted and I got it. Whether I used 1 hour to do it or I used 30 hours to do it, it does not matter. It's all about the result. So let us not be fixated by being right. And this is where perfectionism comes from. We want to be right. We want to do everything as per standards, and we want to do everything according to a particular code of conduct that we have put for ourselves, and that is wrong. Even life teaches us otherwise. It teaches us that it's not about how we do right and how we do things, it's about the end result. And I give you a very good example. We all go to town to work, in our offices, to our employers, and some of us use public service vehicles, PSV, and others drive. Others walk to town. And it's not about how you go to town. It's about you got to town. All of us will meet in town. Whether I drove or I walked to town or I used a PSV vehicle, all of us met in town. And it does not matter which one you used. The fact is that you are in town. And so it's not about how you did it. It's about, did you get there? And that's what we should be really concerned about. We should be concerned about the results. And there's this simple task that I want you to do as we finish. Write down the things that you want to start to do. Then I want you to take action now, one by one, and suffocate this perfectionism mentality, or it will disable you for the rest of your life. And what you'll be left with is something we call regret of why you did not do it. So I want you to write a list of the things you want to do, and then write a plan on how you're going to do it. And if you can, start doing it now. Start doing it now. Do not wait for it tomorrow. because it is slowly eating you up. By the time you start doing it, it will slowly eat up the perfectionism, and you realize that it's a growth process. Even if you tried to achieve what other people are achieving, you cannot, because you're not there yet, but you can grow into it. And so if you think it's hard, get a friend to psych you up, get a friend to help you, get a friend to be there with you. And that is what makes the difference between you and the successful. They just do it. They hope to be perfect along the way. They just go into the swimming pool and then they learn how to swim through. They don't wait until the day. How will you learn swimming if you don't enter into the pool? And so for you to be a good swimmer, you have to enter into the pool first. And that's how rich people think. I will get into it and then I will learn the way as I go. Because if I wait for the day I will be perfect, I will wait for the rest of my life. So strive for excellence, not perfection. Strive for excellence, not perfection. Sometimes the people you want to be perfect do not even care. The people you think you want to be perfect for, sometimes they don't even care, especially our clients. As a photographer, I struggle trying to copy a fellow photographer, but the client does not even notice. I do so much trying to be like another person, but my clients do not even notice. But be your own standard. Do you? Be you. Then benchmark yourself with others, but do not copy them. Let others be a benchmark, but do not try to copy them. So be a student, not a follower of others. Learn from others, but do not follow them. Create you. Create your own way. Create your own pattern. So the danger of perfection is that you may be disabled for a lot of your time. Excellence is what we should focus on, and kill perfectionism and be on the spot. I hope it's clear, and I hope that we will all work to be perfect. I hope that is clear, and I hope that we are all working not to be perfect but to be excellent. And I hope that this episode will help you as a creative to remove that perfectionism mentality from you and put an excellence perfectionism mentality to yourself, and then go do it. Do it excellently with what you have now, and then grow. Each and every time you will improve until you feel as if you are where you wanted to be. And so do not be fixated with being a perfectionist. Do not strive to be 100%. You cannot be 100%. Absolutely not. So try to be the best at what you do now, and that is called excellence. But don't try to be a perfectionist, because perfectionism will hold you back. You will think that I cannot do this because I am not like this. And so our call is ditch perfectionism, take on excellence, and then do it now. Do not procrastinate. You go and do that thing now. Get a friend to help you if you think you are not capable of, and that's how you grow it. If you're a filmmaker, go do that film now. Go do that project now. You're a photographer, go do that project now. Do not wait for tomorrow. You will never be perfect to start. So go start and grow from there. And so thank you for listening. And if you want to watch this video, the videos of this session will be on our YouTube channel in the podcast playlist. So go and make sure that you listen to it over and over again. And all you need to do is that you need to take action. This podcast is not to come and make you happy and inspired. No, it's to make sure that you take action. So all the links to our social media platforms are in the description below. So make sure you go and like and follow us, especially on Instagram, and also follow our Facebook page at The Photo Launchers. Make sure that you listen, and also remember that it is your duty to be spot on. It's nobody's responsibility to make you whom you want to be. It's your own personal responsibility. All we are doing is to help you get there. And so until next time, remember, it's your duty to be spot on. It's your duty to be right on point. And until next time, remember, learn, practice, and create. That cycle will make you a successful creative. See you.